I I see some people in the chat room already. Sileo's late again. I'm going to make it very clear to you. This is Big Sil's time. I'm never late. I'm never wrong. And it's truth, justice, and the Big Sil's way. How you doing? By the way, we are powered by our friends at BetUS. Make sure you check out the website. And as always, we start the show off with Big Sil's and how you doing? All right. Hey, I can't believe Xander and I were just talking. I mean, it's week 13 of the National Football League already. I mean, it's week 13, and it just shows you the power of the NFL. The NBA season drags. Baseball season drags. Hockey, well, hey, Xander and I and everyone loves the NHL. Unfortunately, they're now resorting to putting advertisements on their helmet because the revenue stream blows out loud and because Gary Bettman doesn't know how to market truly one of the greatest and toughest sports on the planet. How do you fucking not know how to market that sport and make that? If you could make the WNBA a must-watch deal, you could make the greatest players on the planet relevant. I mean, honestly, man, how is the WNBA? We'll promote someone. Holy shit. Gary Bettman might just be the worst commissioner in all of professional sports. You can't make that sport work, but the chicks can make the WNBA work. All right. Hey, by the way, before we get into Eagles and the rest of the NFL, I want to show you what incompetence is as an owner. The New York Jets fired Joe Douglas yesterday. By the way, I saw John McMullen say, no, he's not coming back. Why? Joe Douglas is not a bad talent evaluator. I wouldn't have a problem with him being in my organization evaluating talent. He just can't pick a fucking quarterback. Who in the right planet would not want Joe Douglas in their building? He's a pretty good talent evaluator. So when you say you don't want him back, why wouldn't you? Plus the experience level that he has now as being a former general manager, I don't have a problem with Joe Douglas. Plus he knows the culture of the Eagles. I'll tell you this, if they don't get Joe Douglas, I bet you Kansas City hires his ass as a talent scout. I would. New England, hey, dude, his draft picks haven't been poor. His quarterback dealings have been poor. By the way, the first 15 minutes of the program, we got a record we haven't broken yet, 147 likes. I would love to see in the first 15 minutes, if we can get past 147, we have not broken that threshold yet. Most important part when it comes to the like button is the first 15. Please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. And all super chats go to the top. But tell me something. So am I right when I say this, the New York Jets? And I'll get to the Eagles here in a minute. Am I right when I say this, that the New York Jets haven't been to the postseason in 14 years, right? 14 years, going on 15 because they're not making it this year. What's been the one consummate? You know, the New York media wants to beat Aaron Rodgers up right now and say that this was his fault, albeit he needed to play better this year. And there's no doubt that that guy's finished. He's not very good right now. He's just not very good. But what's been the one consummate? What's been the one consummate? Douglas drafted Donnell Pumphrey in best RB class. Hey, Big C, he also drafted the running back Hall right now with the Jets. And by the way, your general manager can't fucking draft a linebacker and can't deal with the linebacker position to save his life. Dean's playing better, but he has been atrocious at handling contracts and also drafting and evaluating that position. And according to our friend Marcus Hayes, he's not going to offer Zach Bond a contract. You can't be more incompetent than Howie Roseman at the linebacker position. I mean, you just can't. He's completely incompetent at that position. He may have hit on Dean here. He looks better. But he's going to let Zach Bond walk out the door. He hasn't drafted anybody to save his life in 20 years except maybe Dean. Congratulations. You eventually got one right. The law averages were on your fucking side. Okay? But how about this? What's been the one consummate in New York? Woody Johnson is a horrific owner. 14 years, it's been him meddling, firing coaches, firing general managers, trying to demote quarterbacks, doing whatever. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's the worst owner of pro sports, let alone the NFL. He is actually the worst owner. Because you know why? He thinks he's doing the right thing. And he hasn't been to the playoffs in 15 years now. I didn't say Kyle, the quarterback, needed to play better. Absolutely. There's no question. But how many games, Kyle, has Aaron Rodgers played? What is it, 10? So let me get this right. 15 years of failure. Aaron Rodgers is responsible for 15 years of failure? 15 years of failure with the Jets. He's responsible for that? I mean, right? Aaron Rodgers played 10 ball games. I'm not making excuses for Rodgers. He sucked this year. Okay? He sucked. But he's played 10 games. Where are we going here? I mean, it's the freaking owner that going to force Howie to pay Bond. We'll see. I doubt it. How come Carolina doesn't have a banner for Cam Newton? Do you think he deserves one? Yeah, Cam's the best quarterback that franchise has ever had. It's not Jake Delhomme, even though he got to a Super Bowl, and Cam did too. Cam's the best quarterback that franchise has ever had. I'm a Cam Newton fan. Hit the like button, please, guys. So, I mean, yeah, you talk about pathetic ownership. Look at New York. New York is right there for you. By the way, again, not giving Rodgers a hall pass. Guy sucked. Totally sucked this year. But he played 10 games. This will be the 15th year the New York Jets don't make the postseason. It's the longest run in the NFL of a team not making the postseason, the Jets. Well, what's been the one consummate? It's been the shitty owner, Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson knows how to make Band-Aids, but he can't use those same Band-Aids to fix his team or cover wounds that he makes with all those crazy mistakes. He is absolutely a shitty owner. There shows you have to have the guy at the top. Hey, one thing about Jeffrey Lurie, I don't like his politics, but I'll tell you what he does do. He spends the money when he needs it. He hires pretty qualified people at almost every single level of his organization. No losing coach since 2000 when it comes to one-loss records. Coaches have gone to Super Bowls, 3 of them. Think about that. Since 2000, Jeffrey Lurie, and I'm not giving this guy any flowers here, but this is great. Okay? The current coach has the longest road win streak in football, bettering even the Kansas City Chiefs. Every coach that he's had since 2000, outside of Chip Kelly, has been to a Super Bowl. That's pretty good. Andy's been to one as an Eagle coach. Doug obviously won one, and Sirianni's been to a Super Bowl. Pretty good stuff, man. It is. I mean, he does a lot of things in the organization that causes you not to cross the finish line, but he's in the race. Hit the like button. I appreciate it. All right. A complete and utter disaster has hit the Eagles in the face today. Bryce Huff, surgery on his wrist. By the way, I'll say this to you. I thought Hassan Reddick a year ago played with a cast on his hand, 4 games. And in the first 4 games, everyone was saying he was not productive. And all of a sudden, you got a guy here in Bryce Huff who's been an utter disaster. He's an $18 million, $51 million disaster. A complete F for Howie in signing him. An absolute bona fide failure on signing him on the defensive side of the football. That was your top priority signing, and it was a complete failure. Okay? By the way, there's been a ton of successes. And I'm not going to quantify my take here by giving people reach arounds here. But Bryce Huff has been a disaster. A complete F. I mean, there's not much else to say. And some of the other guys who have played, or at least covering a little, that guy was expected to bring you 16 sacks or 12 or 11 sacks. He may not be even available for the playoffs. What a disaster. $51 million disaster. Okay? Sills, what do we do this season over our second coming of LT has to now go under the knife? Hey, you got to rely on the other guys now. Absolutely got to rely on the other guys. You got to rely on Vic Fangio making pressure. Huff think is Howie's worst free agent signing ever. But what you have in this dynamic is you may have the greatest free agent signing in the history of the Eagles in Zach Bond. And the worst, this is Howie's record. 23 was a failure. 22 was a success beyond all successes. That's who he is. And that's the danger you play when you do musical chairs on defense. It's hit or miss. It's not sustainable. Jeff Kerr, Birds 365, they have that dude on every week. Jeff Kerr has made that clear, and I agree with him. This is why you have your hit and misses. 22, grand slam year for Howie Roseman. 23, abysmal. 24, looks like great successes outside of Huff, who's been a complete bomb. Okay? I mean, that's his MO. And that's what happens when you don't develop players on your side of the ball. You know, I get into a back and forth with Xander all the time about player development on that side of the ball. Isn't it funny when you hire quality coaches, which they don't seemingly like to do in Philly? What happens? Your players are starting to get developed. Vic Fangio is probably the best coach that they have ever hired since Jim Johnson and Jim Schwartz when it comes to player development. All of a sudden, Dean's playing better. Carter's playing better. The secondary looks better. Why? Quality coaches. Last year, the Eagles didn't want to go down that route with quality coaches. They thought they knew better. Again, there lies the issue of being up and down and thinking you know better. There's one thing with the Eagle organization. They are the most inconsistent at staying the course. You know, Sirianni talked about having a culture. So what's your culture? Letting Zach Bond walk out the building because you don't want to pay him? Is that a culture? I thought the idea was to develop and retain talent. Not to think you know what you're doing where you can go back into free agency, which you can't. What are you going to do next year? Sign Robert Quinn? Where are you going here? Shaq Barrett? I mean, there's been way too many failures for me to sit here and go, well, the general manager knows what he's doing. In 24, it looks it. 23 didn't. This is the inconsistency that you have with that organization. Looks good now. November 20th. Please hit the like button, guys. Give me a running total where we are. 147 is the record. Hopefully we can get up near it. Yeah, Bryce Huff has been a complete disaster. A complete disaster when it comes to the number one defensive free agent. Number two was Gardner Johnson. When you look at the numbers, they're not that awful. We're going to look at the defense. By the way, we got a ton of shit today. We're going to talk Barkley. We're going to talk Hurts here in a second. I turned my vote in for the NFL Rookie of the Year. Not for the final vote, but we do it on a weekly basis on who the NFL Rookie of the Year is. And by the end of the season, we vote on who we believe is going to be the Rookie of the Year. Also, the Offensive Player of the Year. Now, that is different than the MVP because it looks like the quarterbacks are going to dominate that once again. And the NFL Alumni Association gives me a vote on that. You see that show every year, the NFL Honors. Well, that's what this is. So I get a vote on that each and every single year. So we'll do that as well. I'm not forgetting Stoutland. Stoutland's an offensive coach. I'm talking defensive coach. So no doubt he's been the best coordinator that you've had since Jim Schwartz, who won a Super Bowl for you. Get this. One thing you got to remember about Jim Schwartz. Jim Johnson never won you a Super Bowl. Okay? As great a coordinator as he was, he never won one. Schwartz won one. Okay? Chris goes like this. Sills, is Bond in the running for the best linebacker in the NFC? Unfortunately, Chris, it doesn't work like that in voting. Players vote on All-Pro and the Pro Bowl. We get ballots. I've showed you a ballot before, and I was on a Pro Bowl ballot, believe it or not, an NFL Pro Bowl ballot. And you get to vote on them. And players vote on those respected players. So the players are not going to vote for Zach Bond for the Pro Bowl first team. He might get a third team. That's still in your contract incentives. Okay? That's still in your contract. That's not an opinion. In my opinion, do I think he's playing the best linebacker? I don't think Warner's had a great year. I think Roquan has had an up and down season. Is he playing the best? He's in the conversation. He's in the conversation. Okay? I'm playing the best. Please hit the like button, guys. I appreciate you guys coming aboard. Supers go to the top here. All right. I've been bringing this up, and I'm going to continually bring this up. Okay? Continually bring this up to you. You tell me Bond is the top three. Okay. This guy says Bond is a top 3 linebacker. How do you know it's not a one-year wonder? How do you know that he's not a one-year guy? Okay? Frank says this, Pro Bowl is nothing but a popularity contest. Well, let me just put it to you this way. Making the Pro Bowl is a contract incentive of $500,000 in today's NFL. So it might be a popularity contest to you, Frank, but it's not to the players. It's an extra bonus and incentive of $500,000. And to people unlike the quarterbacks, that's a big deal. Jalen Hollywood heard skip practice for GMA. That's all right. He was promoting something really cool. Working with schools and such with his foundation. I don't have a problem with that. Okay? I mean, you're doing a great cause. You're helping others. You're elevating others around you. You're helping inner city kids. I mean, what? So that he can go practice because he was on The View? I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. You know, I mean, he wants to go on The View and tell his story. That's fine. But, I mean, that's cool, man. He was doing a really cool thing and really, really a lot of work and does some work around the city. So, I mean, look, he embraces Philadelphia. I'm not going to kill a guy over that. I mean, if you want to go on The View, though, I mean, I do have a problem going on The View. Was it The View? You know, these Hollywood guys, I don't know what the shows are nowadays. I don't watch that thing. That's Sanders kind of shit right there. Watching The View and, you know, those. Was it Good Morning America? Sure. All right, man. Yeah, he's on Good Morning GMA. All right. So he's on GMA telling everybody what he's doing. I don't have a problem with that, man. I really don't. Please hit the like button, guys. I appreciate it. By the way, I don't know if we're getting Philly 500 on today, but we're going to beat up Mark Holmes. Hey, I got to tell you guys, I've been putting Mark Holmes on. I wasn't going to put him on by himself, but what I thought I would do to you, and I thought I would do this for you. This is the gift from Big Sills to Eagle fans. We're going to beat Mark Holmes up for about 40 minutes. and his Cowboys. You ever see a lion at the zoo? You throw him meat. The Eagle fans today are the lion in the den, and you get to eat the bone. And you get to eat the bone off of Cowboy guy. And you get to kill him. There is nothing redeeming about the Dallas Cowboys right now. Nothing. Nothing redeeming. Can you believe it, too? Hey, and by the way, he'll make an excuse because Dak, whatever, man. Deion Sanders might be the next head coach. Sure, that'll be a great shit show. Yeah, Jerry will like that. So, hey, this is my gift. Here, Xander, this is my gift today. My sacrifice. Like back in the day when they used to have sacrifices, Mark Holmes' head on a spit for you, Eagle fans, and Cowboy fans getting killed. Okay? This is my gift. My gift is his head on a spit. And hit the like button. All right. So, I love my topic that has now started to circle around Philly and the so-called media experts. Big Sills makes a point here, and I've been making it for about a month now. Kellen Moore has not been the right coordinator for your offense. He has not improved the passing game. I heard Mike Gill on earlier with Birds 365. No disrespect. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Okay, I don't really know who he is, but it's great. He does great stuff, and I like his stuff. And I was listening. You get my attention, and I kind of take some of the stuff you're saying. Yeah, I heard him. He's saying maybe some of the issues when the passing game is because they really haven't had to throw the ball. Can you imagine this? And by the way, I'm a fan of running the ball because it exudes an attitude. You're dominating somebody when you run the ball. I get this. But today's NFL is not a running team. It's not a running league. You win passing the football. Throwing the ball through the air, there's a reason rule changes on hitting quarterbacks, defenseless receivers, pass interference. There's a reason for that. And that is because the league wants a passing game. Why do you think there's more wide receivers going in the first round than ever before? Is it because they want to run the ball in the NFL? Or is it because they want to throw the ball? How many running backs do you think go in drafts every year? 1? 2 would be a high. How many wide receivers go in an NFL draft every year? 10? 12? Why is that? Passing game. It's a passing league. Look at the Eagles. They got 2 1,000-yard wide receivers 2 years in a row. First time in league history. First time in team history they've ever had a 100-catch guy. It's the way it is in the league today. Super Chats go to the top. After the drop-off of Bradbury and some other players that were one-year wonders will cause Howie to hesitate resigning Bond. It's a great take. That so far is the take of the day. How do you know he's not James Bradbury? James Bradbury was all pro. That's a great take. That is a freaking great take. How do you know he's not James Bradbury? You would be guessing. Me too. I mean, is it Kellen thing or maybe it's Hurts? We're going to talk about it. Dak's passing game in Dallas looked a lot better with Dak than Jalen. I personally think it's Hurts. It is Hurts. Dak Prescott, they had the number 1 passing offense in the NFL and number 1 offense in the National Football League, and they were balanced when Kellen Moore was in Dallas. Xander brings it up all the time. When Kellen Moore had Dak Prescott in Dallas, they were 1, 2 times in 4 years, the number 1 offense. He's right. That's another great one, Jameson. Supers go to the top. When Jalen wins the Super Bowl this year, will you get off his back? No, ever. You do know they review the game and will adjust to it. Love your show. By the way, Park, thank you very much. No, I won't. Okay? Park, he wins the Super Bowl. Of course I get off him because then I'm dumb, like I was with Lamar. I said Lamar Jackson in 5 years would be out of the league. After watching him in the playoff game against the Chargers, I couldn't have been more wrong. His first playoff game, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And I couldn't have been more wrong about a guy 2 MVPs later and potentially in line right now for a third. I mean, I could have been more wrong. Okay? I could have been more wrong. So, how many people, I'm going to put it to you guys first before I start putting some of the trends down on what Hurts has done and what the offense has done. And then we'll talk about whether it's more or Hurts or both. How many people believe that Kellen Moore has improved the offense? And by the way, just to put a caveat on it, and I hope it doesn't pollute your take, he wasn't brought in to improve an already great running game. The Eagles have been the best. John McMullen says it all the time on Birds 365. The Birds have been one of the top running attacks in the last 12 years. You tell me. This guy Henry says that Lamar's overrated. Well, dude, if Lamar's overrated, your guy's a bum. Hurts is the bum then. If Lamar Jackson's overrated, Hurts is a bum. If you're going by Henry's metric, he's a bum. Has Kellen Moore improved the run game? Has he? Lamar's overrated. Hurts is, every time I see it, Lamar's overrated. Hurts is a bum. Okay? If anybody in here says Lamar's overrated, Hurts is a bum. Get this. Once again, he's a regular season guy. Hey, dude, getting to a Super Bowl doesn't make you a great quarterback. We proved that. Doesn't make you a great quarterback. Average quarterbacks have gotten to Super Bowls. JoJo, Hurts is a bum. Pat, Hurts is a bum. All right. Hit the like button. By the way, Lamar Jackson has led the NFL in passing touchdowns. You think Jalen Hurts will ever? Oh, you know what? I got to tell you. I can't wait to see what happens for the rushing touchdown. And what happens to the rushing touchdown? Will it be Wildcat Hurts or Derrick Henry, who has the most rushing touchdowns this year? What do you think? Lamar led the NFL in passing touchdowns with 36 one year. I mean, who do you think has the most touchdowns this year? Derrick Henry or Wishbone? That's going to be a battle to watch. I can't wait to watch that. My money's on Wishbone. I think Jalen's going to have more rushing touchdowns this year than Derrick Henry. He's going to lead the NFL. He's got a better chance of leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns than he does passing touchdowns. That's a damn given. I mean, hey, yeah, that would be a first. Can you imagine a guy that's a quarterback in today's NFL playing 1932 football where he leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns and he has 20 TD passes? That would be amazing. Yeah. Burrow threw more in 10 games and Hurts will all season. Oh, I got another one for you, Xander. Before I get into the passing game, hold on here. Get this. Here's another one here. So you guys always say to me about Jared Goff sucks, right? So Jared Goff has 2 of the NFL's 7 all-time ever 400-yard passing games with 4 touchdowns and a quarterback rating of 158.3, which is perfect. He has 2 of the 7 in NFL history. You think Hurts will ever have? Jared Goff has 2 of the 7 most prolific passing days in pro football history of the 7. The guy in Detroit, I was floored when I saw this. Okay? And I'm not a golf guy. I'm not a Jared Goff guy. But he's got 2 of the 7 most prolific passing days in pro football history. And Hurts is battling Derrick Henry for the most rushing TDs. Quite an accomplishment. That'll be great. I'd love to see that stat line. Jalen Hurts, 20 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts passing TDs, 18. I bet Bo Nix has more. Yeah, man. Holy shit. This is great. All right. Hey, please hit the like button here. This is getting to be a lot of fun here. So the passing game of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Get this guy. Here's Big Marshall. Big Marshall goes like this. Goff had 5 interceptions and 1. Hurts has 1 pick and he loses against good teams. And by the way, he turned around the next week and went for 420, 4 touchdowns and no picks. By the way, how many interceptions has he thrown this year? He's had a passer rating on perfect like 6 weeks in a row. So let me see here. By the way, he throws the ball a ton too. Jared Goff. Man, dude, that's right. Hey, compare Jared Goff to Jalen Hurts as a passer. It's the most fucking idiotic thing you could possibly do. It's not even, and again, I'm not even a Jared Goff guy. So Jared Goff has got 9 turnovers. How many does Hurts have this year? 9 interceptions. How many does Jalen have? He's on pace for 34 touchdowns. How many interceptions does Jalen have this year? So he had 5 in one game, and he's got 9 on the season. Jalen's got 5. Okay. Wow. All right. Here we go. So currently right now, here's your passing attack. Passing yards, you're 16th. Attempts, you're 25th. Completions, you're 23rd. TDs, you're 18th. Total passing, you're 22nd. Has Kellen Moore improved your passing game? Yes or no? Is it Kellen Moore? Or is it Hurts? Love the show, but Dan, what's your real feeling? Do you want Jalen out of the league? What that do? No. I'm saying that guy's not good enough to run that offense. I said it to you on Monday. He's the weak link in your offense. You got a Super Bowl offense, and you got a Super Bowl roster. You're great at every position, O-line, receivers, running back, except the quarterback. He's not good enough. Is there anything? Want him out of the league? No. He's a good player. He's just not good enough for Philly. You can't. I told you I would kill this kid if that guy doesn't deliver a Super Bowl this year with that talent. And they haven't improved as a passing game. And you know what their media people are doing? Xander's not really doing this. John is. And so are the others. Well, John, no, I'll take that back. I heard John today say that the passing game is not good enough. I'll take that back. Okay? I will take that back. John knows it's not good enough. John said it on the postgame show. I just remembered. They're not going to win a Super Bowl with that passing game. That's my problem, Charlie. He's not good enough. You can win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. See, the problem with Jalen is Jalen will play great in a Super Bowl, but he won't put 5 games together to get to that game. There'll be an inconsistent game somewhere in there. That's the one thing Foles did. Foles could put games together because he was a really good passer. Okay? Spike goes, here, look, folks. Here's Spike. Back to the same shit of 2023. 10-1, 8-2. Didn't matter. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Prince, Jalen Hurts had a terrible game. Get this. Jalen Hurts had a terrible game on Tuesday, 18, 28 passes, 221 and 2 sacks. In contrast, Wilson was 23 of 36 for 205, 1 interception. Jalen is terrible. No, Jalen's inconsistent. And I'm not picking one game. I'm talking about the entire 2024 season. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the Redskin game. I'm talking about the whole season. And since the bye, they've taken the ball out of his hands in the passing game. Because the coaches know for them to win as many games as they want to win, they got to run it. If Hurts had Reed as head coach, what's his stat line? Would Jalen be better? Would Jalen be better with a Todd Monken? Probably. You're making me lean that it's Kellen, not improving him. Hang on. Let me get the flexing. Now, man, the way Sills gets people mad when he starts talking shit about Hurts is gold. Flexing. I don't think it's talking shit. I think I'm talking reality here. If he had Todd Monken, would Jalen Hurts be better than with Kellen Moore? Or if he even had Cliff Kingsbury? Shit, maybe even Shane Steichen. Kellen Moore's not the guy. He hasn't brought one thing to the table. They even stopped motion because it was confusing Hurts. Okay? Now people can't negate his dumb opinion on Hurts without being hurt. It's not a dumb, okay. I don't know what you're watching, but if you actually think that guy's improved from last year as a passer, show me one place that he's improved. You can't say blitzing because he's 6th in taking sacks. I mean, he sees the blitz more. He's being sacked more. Seals, do you think the Niners window's closed? I think if they don't do anything this year, I think they've got to reevaluate a lot of things on that roster. Everyone sit back and enjoy the ride. We're 8-2. We have issues as fans complaining with this team. It's honestly the reason our team could care less about us. Then you should have your PR guy stop calling my bosses. That would help because they don't like my opinion. I'd like to see the numbers on how many TDs have been thrown on the 1 or 2 line when Jalen as quarterback is automatic. If they run it, it's on the 1 yard line. Jalen is a solid quarterback. Yeah, at times. Holds on to the ball way too long, sometimes to have trouble going through his progressions. Yes, all you said. Here's Prince. Prince, I understand your point, but I don't see why people rank Wilson higher than Jalen. What's the difference? Because Wilson's crossed the finish line. Wilson knows how to use a running game and be proficient in the passing game. And now you've got a Pittsburgh team that resembles what they had in Seattle. Prince, he knows his talent around him. He knows his liabilities around him, and he knows what he can or can't do. And a lot of that is in his hands, and that's why Mike Tomlin went with him. He's a more experienced player than Hurts. He's been through this. Actually, I think the experience in Denver actually helps Russell Wilson because he knows where he is in his career. He's on the back nine now. Okay? Dude, well, again, Russell Wilson's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If Jalen remembered all season he's holding the ball too long, indecisive on reads, and he hasn't shown consistently playing, I mean, it may be a result of not gelling with the OC. Okay? Hey, I completely think that he is not the right coordinator for Jalen Hurts. Sills, if Wilson was the age of Hurts right now on the Steelers team, they would win the AFC, correct. Najee's not quite Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is as close to being a Pro Football Hall of Famer, and he may get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Marshawn Lynch was a terror, and he was the engine of that Seattle team, in my opinion. I think it was the Legion of Boom, and I think it was Marshawn, and I really do think it was Russell Wilson making critical plays on third down and keeping them in third and short. They had great coaching on that football team up in Seattle. Pete Carroll put a great staff together, and there was really good talent all around him. They did a nice job. And that's what Pittsburgh does right now. Okay? Sills, would you bring back Steichen if fired? You know my only problem with Shane Steichen? Every quarterback that runs that dual threat thing, he gets them injured. I don't know. I mean, Anthony Richardson he's already beat up. And Hurts got beat up in his system as well. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Funny. Still, should Eddie George be in the Hall of Fame? Very close. Very close. So, Hurts can be a throwback Wilson. Remember, they had Baldwin and Lockett to carry Wilson too. Not quite AJ and Devontae, though, right? Baldwin and Lockett. I mean, it was really more Marshawn Lynch. Okay? Racing Seattle ownership threw away a Super Bowl so a thug wouldn't win the Super Bowl MVP. Interesting take. I don't know. I just still to this day, I mean, we got to remember something, though, my friend. Pete Carroll blew a national title game, but going for it on fourth down. And you had Vince Young, who was running up and down that field on that USC defense in the national title game, and he went for it on fourth down, and they lost the game because of that. Okay, I mean, so he blows a national title game, and he blew a Super Bowl. So, I mean, Carroll's known for going for it. Okay, he is. Super chats go to the top. I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, Prince, do me a favor. If it goes through and rolls through, post yours. Sills, I think your criticism of Hurts are objective and correct. But since you've been covering us, I think you want to see the kid get us a ring and succeed. Of course I do. I'm not rooting for his failure. I don't root for any of that. I'm pointing out what I see. Joey, the idea of this is Hurts to prove me wrong. Not to prove me right. Who has fun being right? You know how many times I've been right and fired? What's the point of it? I'd rather be wrong. I mean it. I would rather be wrong. You guys, I mean, some of you get it. I'd say 85% of you get it. I really do. Okay? I think the other 15% don't get it. And anybody who posts hater, you don't get it. But you know what's funny? Am I right, guys? The ones that have been in here the longest, Don't you come around and go, man, I can't stand it. I had a guy yesterday go, I'm sitting in the stadium at Lincoln Financial. I'm watching the 49er game. And you know what popped across my mind after we were getting rolled? Fucking Sileo. He was right. I mean, hey, he's sitting in Lincoln Financial going, fucking Sileo. Hit the like button, guys, please. These fans can brag about some 13, 14 wins, but it's meaningless if you're not holding the trophy at the end. Amen, man. Amen. Absolutely amen. Hey, dude, it's not about winning the most. Hey, by the way, again, I heard people talking about that. The Eagles won a lot of football games and they hang around the rim. So you want to be the Cowboys? Who wants to be the Cowboys? Who wants to win 12 games 3 years in a row and do dick with it? What's the point? What are you rooting for? Next year? Having a fun time at Lincoln Financial? Here, I'm going to say this to you guys, and I'm sorry if this is going to hurt people's feelings. Dude, city of Philadelphia, the one thing that you guys are deprived are winners. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Donovan McNabb, Bryce Harper. How many dynasties have you ever had in Philly? One? Flyers? How many dynasties have you had in football? None. How many dynasties have you ever had in who? 83? Is that the last time the Sixers won? Here. 2000s, Phillies win the World Series. They win it in 80. Okay. Eagles, 17. Let's see. Flyers in the mid-70s. Where are we going here? What are you rooting for? To be decent? The 68 Flyers, the 68 Sixers team was great with Wilt. It was great. It was great. It was a great basketball team. You tell me. Philadelphia doesn't have, you're not a city of champions. That's what we're doing here. Or really, I mean, maybe I misread you guys. Maybe I misread it. If I did, I'll back off. If you want to be a city like Chicago, okay. Or do you want to be a city like Boston? That's a city of champions. Bruins, Patriots, Red Sox. I mean, what are we doing here? Personally, I'm starting to think you guys don't talk like fucking champions. The Eagles have one of the greatest offenses ever assembled, yet they act like Jalen is just the best quarterback ever. Now, look, this is a great take here. Says we're hungrier than a sumo wrestler. Yes. Here, you want my honest Celtics. Thank you, Chris. You want my honest assessment of you guys? Best fan base in the country. Worst franchises in pro sports. They don't deliver you what you need. And you support them like your fucking son and daughter. It's wonderful. I posted that yesterday on my Twitter, how much I love talking to people in that city. Great. I enjoyed talking to people in San Francisco. But you'd be shocked. San Francisco has 49er fans are great. Buffalo fans. Patriot. I love talking sports in Boston. I fit right in. Because when I was talking about the Celtics and Kyrie Irving, you should pull it up. I called him an absolute locker room cancer. The moment you get rid of him, the Celtics will flourish, and they have. This is about winning titles, not 8-2. It's about time you kick that fucker's ass with the Sixers. Like Xander said yesterday, the Flyers, the Phillies, not a bad job. They're doing a decent job. Dave Dombrowski's a friend. I know him, and he's striving for perfection. I covered him when he was down with the Marlins. I know what he's capable of. You've got to demand that Howie and Jeffrey deliver you more than one. Hey, you know what you need to start sounding like? Yankee fans. Hey, fuck it, man. We just won the World Series. You know what we used to say when Steinbrenner owned the team? Hey, can you do it next year? Are we in it next year? You get greedy. Okay? Maybe I haven't made that clear enough. Stop talking common. You Philly fans sound common when you bring up 8-2. I bring up 1-3. You're 1-3 in my eyes. Is that too harsh? Best fan base I've ever spoken to. In my 34 years in broadcasting, best, passionate, in your face. Don't let up. Don't let dickheads like Bob Lang and them guys, and the Sixers and all these guys sell you stadiums. Get this. So the Sixers want to sell you stadiums, but not championships. My opinion, you know what Philadelphia sports fans would do? They'd bend over backwards to give the Sixers a new arena. If they had been delivering Eastern Conference titles and constantly going to the Eastern Conference championship game and going to NBA finals, they'd build it themselves. I've always spoken like this. I've always demanded perfection. One to three versus Mahomes and Brady. Not that bad, though, Sills. I'm talking Super Bowls. You're 1-3. 1-3, Mahomes and Brady. Once again, Des the Jew, you fall short. I was talking about Super Bowls. Look at this guy. Vince Lombardi gave my uncle, Andy Robustelli, an index card that says when he got to Green Bay in 1959, he wrote down on an index card and passed it out to every Packer that was in the building. And it said on it, gentlemen, we are going to strive for perfection every single day we're in this facility. Every single day, we are going to strive for it, knowing full well we'll never reach that capacity of being perfect and being in that room of being perfect. But we're going to learn to live with greatness. I have that card framed, handwritten by Vince. Josh Allen or Jared Goff, not a debate. Okay? I don't think I've made it clear on how my thinking, how I look at you, and how I look at things. You know, have you ever heard me talk about my Hurricanes? Somebody asked me, hey, Sills, Miami this weekend is going against Wake Forest. They're going to win 10 games. I said, yeah, they're going to win 10 games for the second time in 21 years. 10 games used to be a bad season for us. We were 10-1, it was kind of a disappointment. We strove for perfection. I lost one regular season game in 3 years at Miami. That's where I'm from. That's where I'm from. Try acting like a champion. Might help your takes a little better. Chase, trust me, I don't know what that means. Practice perfection to achieve excellence. Love that. That's a great take. Nick, my opinion, Hurts is limited to throwing to the outside because he can't see over the middle because of the Giants in the offensive line. Then drop back more like Wilson and Breeze did. Okay? I am minding my business. This show is my business. Sills, I agree. The offense needs to be more fluid. Rhythm. Right. Rhythm. It seems we struggle to execute the simplest plays. I thought Kelly would have implemented more complex routes. I think Kellen, without a doubt, tried early, and I think they revamped it at the bye, and they went back to doing what they do. Seals, I meant we played Brady twice in the Super Bowl, 1-1, and lost to Mahomes 1-3 versus the Goats. Okay. Okay. They didn't give me one, Joey B. I have to sweep it up with a broom. Seal Stafford uses motion. We're going to get to this here in this hour here coming up. By the way, guys, tell me where we are in the like button. And also, do me a favor. Please hit that like button now. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. And then at 4:30, we're going to have my treat to you, Mark Holmes. He has, Abe. You're going to see a lot of motion with Sean McVay, okay? He was saying we lost to Mahomes, Brady, and Madden in the Super Bowl. It hurts, but they had better quarterbacks and head coaches. John Madden wasn't the head coach of that Super Bowl. When Vermeil lost, it was we've had him on the program when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Oh, God. Guys, help me out. It wasn't Madden. It was Tom Flores. That's it. Thank you, Charlie. It was Tom Flores who was the head coach. That was the guy in that Super Bowl when you guys lost to the Raiders. Raiders were a wild card in that team. All right. So I'm saying Kellen Moore, in my opinion. I don't think he's improved your passing game. I just do not. Let's get to this other one. I'm gonna set this up in a different way here. Guys, do me a favor, please hit the like button. So I vote, as I told you, for the NFL Alumni Awards, the NFL Honors. And I'm gonna set this up. We had to turn in our ballot today, and we do it every week, for the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. And this is who I have, and this is who I submitted today. And they've made this award more so because the MVP award has turned into such a quarterback award, okay? And I'm going to get to a topic using this. At number 10, the Offensive NFL Player of the Year. I've got Bijan Robinson, the Atlanta Falcons, at number 10. I think Bijan has prospered a lot, having Kirk Cousins down there, and he is what I thought he was on draft day. Remember I said he was one of the sandbox guys that I would have drafted with that top pick that the Eagles had? I loved him, and he is turning out to be one of the great players right now. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, let's take a look at Bijan right now in his numbers on what he's, I think, going to have a pretty good year as well. But he's been a really good force down there for them. And I think he's benefited already. I saw somebody in here already trying to tell me that they already disagree with me. So Bijan Robinson right now, get this. Who disagreed with me that Bijan's number 10? I saw somebody in here make a dumbass comment. Bijan Robinson's on pace for 1,200 rushing yards, 70 catches, and 600 yards receiving, 9 rushing touchdowns, and 2 receiving. And somebody said that Bijan's having a bad year. He's going to have 70 catches. 70 catches and 1,300 yards. Number 9, you're going to see him this weekend, and he's with the Rams. Corinne Williams, Rams running back, who is having an absolutely fabulous season. Kid from Notre Dame. He's playing really good football, and I like what I'm seeing with him. And I think one thing that he has done for his football team is that he's created play action. And when you look at his season so far, he's on pace for 1,300 passing yards or 1,300 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns, and 43 catches and 231 receiving yards. You're talking about a guy who's going to go over 1,500 total yards and 20 touchdowns. That's a hell of a season. And you're facing him Sunday. He is one of the under-the-radar players. Okay? I mean, you're talking about a guy with 20 touchdowns. On pace for 20 touchdowns right now. Number 8 is Xander's boy. Xander, you were right, dude. This guy here, I mean, this is my votes this week for the Offensive Player of the Year. Okay? And I'm going to make a topic out of it here in a second. We're going to get to it. This is Xander's boy. I did not think that this kid was this good. I just did not. But boy, I'll tell you what, Jahmyr Gibbs has been absolutely, utterly sensational this season for Detroit. You can make the argument the second best guy in that huddle right now is Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, what a fabulous football season he's having. He's scoring touchdowns. He's rushing the ball well. The other guy's playing great too. He's on pace for 1,400 yards, 40 receptions, and 435 receiving yards. I mean, what an absolutely sensational ball. And he's on pace for 1,400 or 14 touchdowns. That's a guy you're going to see if you are fortunate enough to get to the NFC Championship game. Jahmyr Gibbs is playing great ball. He's going to have he's another guy with 20 touchdowns. Potentially, if he doesn't get banged up. I mean, he's good. Here's another guy flying under the radar. I got him 7th. He is Josh Gibbs for the Green Bay Packers. Look at the season and the impact that he's had on that Packer team since he came over from the Raiders. I mean, you know, you look at certain guys around the league, and it's good to go off the topic of the quarterbacks. But he's on pace for 1,500 yards. How about this one here, guys? He's on pace for 1,500 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, 40 catches, and 320 receiving yards. This guy's on pace for 1,500 yards. This is the Offensive Player of the Year. I've got him 7th. I've got Josh Allen. We know the quarterbacks. I got him 6th. I got Justin Jefferson at 5. This is my vote for the Offensive Players of the Year. Jefferson is without a doubt maybe the best offensive non-quarterback in the league. He is a sensational football player. There's no getting around it. It is a colossal miss. You want to hear something crazy? In just 9 games, he's projected to have 105 catches, 1,600 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I mean, and Sam Darnold's throwing the ball to him. Sam Darnold's throwing the ball to him. I mean, it's crazy. I've got Lamar 4, and I've got the guy that McQuignon did a hell of a job on, and he is having probably a little bit better year than what Justin Jefferson is having, and that's Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is already over 1,000 yards receiving in 11 ball games, which is insane. He's on pace for 1,700 yards and 20 touchdowns. I don't know about you, but if you don't pay that guy, Joe Burrow's got to leave Cincinnati. I mean, he's got 1,100 yards already. What an absolutely sensational football player. And by the way, think about this, what Q did to him and what the secondary of the Eagles did to him. I mean, they shut that guy down, and he's on pace for 20 touchdowns and potentially 1,800 yards receiving. That's a hell of a job. That game means more to me than you think, okay? On what the defense did to Joe Burrow, outside of the first drive, they pretty much shut that thing down. At number 2, this is my vote for the offensive player of the year. And for the record, this is going to lead to a topic here, like I said, and it's going to be an Eagle topic here. I got Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry, you couldn't have had a better fit for him. Right now, he's on pace. Hey, Xander, check this out. He's on pace for 1,900 yards, 20 touchdowns. He's on pace for at 6 yards a clip on what Derrick Henry's doing. I mean, he's on pace for 1,900 yards and 20 touchdowns. Okay? An absolutely sensational season. He's at 1,100 yards right now, 197 attempts. He's well over 350 carries this year that he's going to have. And my number one guy is Saquon Barkley. Saquon has, I think he's the most valuable player. I disagree with Marcus. I think that matters. Saquon's on pace for 2,000 yards, 1933, 14 touchdowns, 400 yards receiving. I mean, some of you guys, I can't remember which, said you thought he might have 2,500 yards in total yards. He's on pace for that. Get this. Thank you for the topic. So here's the list. Bijan, 10. Corinne Williams, Rams, running back, 9. Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit, running back, 8. Josh Jacobs, Green Bay, 7. Josh Allen, quarterback, 6. This is for the offensive player of the year. 5 is Justin Jefferson, Minnesota. Number 4 is Lamar Jackson, 4. Jamar Chase is 3, Cincinnati. Henry's number 2, Baltimore. And Saquon Barkley right now is my leader for the offensive player of the year. All this being said, the Eagles are going to cost Saquon a shot at the MVP. Right? The tush push is going to cost him the MVP. Right? You're okay with that? And for context, Patrick Mahomes has a contract where in his contract, if he's the MVP, it's a $1.25 million bonus. So, I mean, we're not talking about chump change here. And he's a running back who's probably on his last contract. The Eagles will cost him a shot at the MVP, right? If Saquon Barkley had 2,000 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards, and he had 12 touchdowns, they're not going to give it to him. Right? The tush push will cost them. I get it. It's about winning Super Bowls. But don't you want to reward a guy who's been your MVP on your team? Don't you want to reward him? He's carried you. And by the way, a guy like him who was asked that question on the sidelines by Nick Sirianni, hey, you want to get your all-time rushing number? No, it's okay. Probably looks at it like, okay. But gee, you want a dagger in the New York Giants' heart, and you want a dagger in everyone's heart, like the Cowboys could have had his ass. And a guy who only cost $8 million, the MVP of the league could be only an $8 million or higher. Fuck. Get this. Look at this. Sills always comes back to money. It's called fucking professional football for a reason, Kyle. Why do you think they call it professional football? You're doing it because you get paid. You don't do anything for free in that league. Comes back to money. Salary caps. Rosters are built over money. What are you talking about? It all starts with money. Okay? Hey, by the way, he's not wrong. Saquon Barkley would take the Super Bowl trophy versus the MVP. But don't you want to reward a guy and giving him a shot at carrying your football team? I mean, that was a great take, Sills. Whole show so far. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, this is a great one here. AJ thought it wasn't nobody more impactful than him. Can you imagine AJ Brown not getting his touches in his game or his targets? So the Eagles took away an opportunity on a metric that you're gauged on MVPs. Hey, you can have all the rushing touchdowns. You can have all the rushing yards you want, but if you're not getting in the end zone, what's the point? Can you imagine if a guy had 2,000 rushing yards, 20 touchdowns, 500 yards receiving, 50 catches, and 6 receiving touchdowns? I don't know how you don't give him the MVP award. I don't know how you don't. I mean, who would have a better year than that? And the Eagles get home field advantage? And they win 13 games? Could there be any more of a... Hey, and he doesn't throw the ball. Can you be more impactful by not throwing the ball than having 2,500 yards and having more touchdowns potentially than your quarterback? I would like them to give him less carry, Sills, save him for the playoffs. I think they, by the way, that's the right take, Sinbad. You're not wrong. I'm asking you a question on what's right here. And you're going to go, hey, fuck the MVP award. I get it. Well, that's what they're saying. That's okay. Man. This guy's having a historic year except for one metric. They're not letting him get in the end zone. Quarterback gets in the metro. You know what this reminds me of? When Tim Tebow was at Florida, and they had a guy by the name of Chris Leak. Leak would drive the team down all the way down to the goal line and inside the red zone. They bring in Tebow, and Tebow would score all those touchdowns. And everyone years later always assumed that Tim Tebow won 2 national titles when he was just a Tyson. You know who Tebow was on that first national title team? Tyson Hill. That's all he was. He was a gadget player on that Gator team. Remember that Gator team, Xander? Chris Leak, you may be too young for that. But Chris Leak was the guy on that team, and they ruined his Heisman chances. I was a voter for the Heisman. And my thing was, he took all those touchdowns away from him, and he took that away, and they still won the national title. Guess what? Somebody else got the credit. Next 4 weeks, define our team. We need Barkley to remain healthy. You're right. You're right. You're right. Seals' Dan Campbell decision on keeping the starters was reckless. He lost another player, Cosmo. Here's why he does this. Why do you think Dan Campbell kept his guys in? And it's not for the points and all that. Why do you think he kept them in? I'll give you a coaching tip that was told to me. Henry would been good, but Barkley fits better. Yeah, because he can catch the football better. The reason that you keep your starters in is because you're keeping them not to take their foot off the gas pedal. Okay? And I understand that. That's why a lot of coaches do that. You ever wonder why in college or whatever, you see a team blowing someone out, why aren't they taking their starters out? Because they don't want a team ever to let the gas pedal off. You're teaching a team to finish and run through the tape, playing at the same game speed and tempo, and you're not going up and down. You're finding a rhythm. So I get it, and I understand it. It's very, very tricky to do that, okay? Because you can lose players. But I understand why coaches do that, okay? They just don't want their team. All of a sudden, you're playing at this high level, and you don't want your team to all of a sudden pull back and let off the gas pedal. And I do, yes, Charlie, I think that's a mentality. They practice like that. They play like that. They run the drills like that. Chris Spielman has told me numerous times, that's the mentality in Detroit. Full throttle, full go. Let's go, man. It's a very physical mentality in Detroit. And you see the difference in Detroit versus in Philly? The personality of that football team is Dan Campbell. The personality of the Philadelphia Eagles is not Nick Sirianni. Okay? Their personality is different. It's multiple guys. It's a great roster. Personally, I don't even think San Francisco has an identity, and that's why San Fran, that's when you have so many stars on your team, you don't build an identity. Because you have 11 individuals on one side of the ball, that doesn't create an identity. Running the ball in Philly, though, that's not the coach's mentality. That's the roster's mentality. Okay? That's the roster's mentality. Eagles are very aggressive, and it sends a message to opposing defensive players. I don't think they're very aggressive on offense outside of the run game. They're not aggressive in the passing game. And by the way, deep passes don't win Super Bowls. Every time yesterday I brought this up to you too. You know, you bring up that point that Jalen throws a great deep pass. So what? Who gives a shit? Deep passers don't win Super Bowls. Manny had no arm. Brady was okay. Montana was okay. Deep passers don't win Super Bowls. Smart ones do. Checkdowns, high percentage plays, play action, motion, which you're going to see a shitload of this week. That's what wins. Hey, Jalen throws a great deep pass. So fucking what? He's got a great arm. So did Vic. So did Cam. So what? Brady didn't have a great arm. Manning had no great arm. I mean, are you under the impression that's what makes a quarterback is because you have an ability to throw the ball 80 yards in the air? That's stupid. Any quarterback guy or guru will tell you it's in the wheels and in the hips, and it's also in the legs and in the setup. That's what makes a great quarterback, not the arm. It's accuracy and your footwork is what makes quarterbacks. That's what makes them great. Here's Senorita. Eagles beat the Rams last year with Sills saying have great players and phenomenal coach. Hey, they are a phenomenal organization. They've won a Super Bowl in the last 3 years. They are. They've retooled their football team. And they go for Super Bowls, not for 10-1. McVay's a superior coach to your coach. He's one of the greatest play callers. I mean, he's like 3 years younger than Nick Sirianni, and his resume is filled with successes. Coach of the Year, Super Bowl, 2 NFC titles, Super Bowl championship. I mean, your guys won a lot of games. He's won a lot of the most important games. I'll tell you what, you keep Nick's resume, I'll take Sean's resume. I mean, really. Here, let's take a look at that too. I would say he's the best play caller in pro football. Well, those guys were yesterday. Vince Ferragamo and those guys were saying it as well. Super Bowl champion, AP Coach of the Year, youngest head coach in the NFL with 30 wins, youngest head coach to reach a Super Bowl, youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl. He's 7-4 in the postseason. What's Nick? 2-3? Got it. And so far, he's 82-54, 603 win percentage. He's won 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl. And he's how old? He's 38. This guy's not even 40 years old. He's not even 40. Okay. Stills are trying to argue Sirianni. No. Why would I argue a win percentage over accolades and winning games that matter? What's his record versus the Eagles? Who fucking cares? He's 7-4 in the postseason with 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl. What's your guys in the postseason? 0-1 in a Super Bowl and 2-3. Good night. Take a night off. What are you, crazy? That's like comparing Nick Sirianni to Sean McVay. It's like comparing Jalen Hurts and Mahomes. You can't. There's no comparison. Records don't matter. I know they don't. 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl and a Coach of the Year award. That's what I'm basing it on. Sills explains how Barnett last 2 years is better with the Eagles. Maybe he saw he was about to be out of the league. He's actually looking pretty good down there with the Texans. Sills, let me have your let's see. Yeah, I don't take McVay slander. McVay and the Rams should win since they have Super Bowl winners and a better coach, right? They don't have a better roster than you guys. They don't have a better. Hey, Senor, let me see how completely dumb you are here. Are you under the? Are you saying that Nick's better than Sean McVay? Is that what you're saying? I'm curious. Is that what you're saying? I want to clarify this. Is that what you're saying? You think Nick's a better coach? Do you think he's a better coach? I want to see how stupid this guy is. Nick has a better win percentage. What's that got to do with winning games that matter? Marcus, I'm not wrong about this. He's won more championships. Block that guy, Sills. That was disturbing. I don't know what he said. What was what? I don't know what he. I don't read dumb shit. 42-19. Get this. Here's Willie. So Nick Sirianni's 42-19, and Sean McVay's got 2 NFC titles in a Super Bowl and an AP Coach of the Year award. What does 42-19 mean? What does 42-19 mean? I didn't hear. I don't read that shit. I don't know what he said. Hey, dude, what do you think? Do you know how many people talk shit on me? You know, the only thing Big Sills hasn't been accused of is murder. Hey, honest to God, man, the only thing I haven't been accused of, truly, or honest to God, is sexual harassment and murder. That's the only things I haven't been accused of. Seriously, Sills, why should I keep watching this show when all you do is shit on the team and talk about what's not good about them? Always Sunny. Well, you missed it then. Go back to being common. Go back to covering your 10-1 team. Go back to just being normal. It's about time you fucking acted like a champion, Always Sunny. Try to act it, man. Aren't you looking for a dynasty? Aren't you looking to be great? Fuck, man. Shitting on your team? I want you to be good, dude. Holy shit. Some of you guys could never be coached. Nick Saban would blow your face off. My God, can you imagine some of these wheelhouse snowflakes in here on an Alabama team with Nick? He'd fucking fire you in a second. Then again, you probably couldn't get through walkthroughs. Jesus criminy. Act like a champion, man. Talk like one. Instead of talking like Joel Embiid. Did he got his booty bandits? Yeah, okay. People should be used to Sills by now. Are you crazy? People haven't been used to Sills in 39 years. Fucking right, Sills. I see something wrong with this team. Thank you very much. Hey, Jay, I want you to win the Super Bowl. How great would it be if all the things that I said were corrected and you win it? Congratulations. I'm saying you got flaws on your team. I'm not saying there's a perfect team out there. I'm not saying you can't get to the game. I said that shit. Man, you guys want perfect conversations. You sound like people who were running for office on the other side. You want everything to be fucking perfect. Sorry, it ain't. It ain't. Hey, the NFL is a democracy. It's not a democracy. Okay, that's not where everybody's equal. Unfortunately, some of you out there want the NFL to be equal, and everybody gets a nice bite of the apple. Well, it ain't like that. Life ain't like that. Not everything is going to be cut perfectly. Some teams are better, some teams aren't. Guess what? Unfortunately, some people in life want everybody to have everything that everyone can be together. Well, fuck that, man. It's a dictatorship in the NFL. One guy's great, one guy blows. You're a serf, you're a king. You understand that? You're either a king or you're a servant in the NFL. That's why most of you can't play in the locker room, because you don't get that. You think everything's equal. Fuck that. You're either a king or you're a waiter. Pick it. I don't want to be a waiter. Just seems like you don't like Hurts. I don't give a fuck about Hurts. I don't give a shit about him. I care about him as a player, not him going on The View and sitting there telling us, hey, great, man, he's a good, hey, Joe has like religious shows and shit, and you guys want to talk about Man of the Year and Father of the Year? Those are great vehicles and platforms for that. This ain't Man of the Year. This is not the Man of the Year award. Kings and servants, pick one. Jesus Criminy. Hey, I'm trying to talk like a champion to you. I just guess you ain't used to being talked to like that. Hey, I'm good, 8-2. Holy shit, man. I don't think I've made it very clear to you. I'm going to bring Xander up here in a second. But I don't think I've made it very clear, and I'm going to make it one more time, and I'm going to define this. Hey, Philly, you need to act more like champions. I mean, you're a star city of champions. I mean, what? 17 Eagles, like I mentioned earlier, 83 Sixers, Flyers in the 70s. You had one in the 2000s with the Phillies and the 80 with the Phillies. Fuck, man. Let's go. Let's go. Boston's kicking your ass. Let's go. All right. I hate to be that guy, man, but I sound like big old bad Sills here, man. Xander calls me the villain of. I mean, hey, without further ado, let me get this. I'm now doing this with this kid. I'm actually writing questions down for him now because you know why? This guy gives me a ton of shit now. And so I'm even writing questions down for him. By the way, he's the co-host of Birds 365. Those guys are doing a great job. Hey, I heard John McMullen go, Xander, Xander's even questioning Kellen now. It's fucking great. I mean, I think he's been Sileo-wise. All that. And please, all super chats will be read, I promise. Without further ado, my friend, the co-host of Birds 365 and one of the rising stars of Philly media, Big C, Xander Kraus.
What's up, Big Sills?